you're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, Manitoba's show here on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graham Forsyth. This edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba is brought to you by Evolve Green and AETI. And man, we got snow coming in the forecast here in Manitoba. It's crazy. It's that time of year already. It's going to be crazy to see, no grass, a lot of snow on the grass very soon here on the ground. But to talk about it today, we're going to have Harry Siemens joining the show on the Farm Report to talk about the upcoming snowfall here in Manitoba, as well as some other stuff as well. And then later on in the show, we're going to be joined by Gordie, Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, to break down the past weekend of games for all three teams in the academy, as well as the upcoming games this weekend, what they're working on this week, and as well as the marketing update, what's happening with the marketing situation with the academy. And then to finish off the show, we're going to dive into a segment of Rise and Shine Manitoba, where I'll recap the Winnipeg Jets loss last night against the St. Louis Blues, as well as the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy U17 Male Prep Buffaloes past weekend at the CSSHL U17 Male Prep Showcase in Pilot Mound, Manitoba, as well as a little rant coming up later on in the show. But first, without further ado, we're going to roll the intro and then be joined by Harry Siemens. First up on the Farm Report on this week's edition of Manitoba's show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. And you know what that means, Manitoba. It's time to rise and shine here on ASTV Productions. And man, it's that time of year again, the snowfall coming here in Manitoba for the very first time here this year in 2021. And to join me to talk about it, how it's going to have an effect on agriculture here in Manitoba, as well as some other things, is Harry Siemens here joining the Farm Report. The Farm Report brought to you by Wolf Enterprises. And there he is, the man himself. Just wait for that to finish. Yep, Harry Siemens joined the show here on this Wednesday morning here on November 10th. Harry, it's great to see you. You're looking very good today. It's nice to have you on once again for this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show. How are you doing on this Wednesday morning, man?
Well, you know what? First of all, thank you. It said Wednesday. That was good. Wednesday, Rise and Shine. Hey, and you gave me a come on. You said, I'm looking good. Hey, look at this young fella. This guy's got a haircut. He's looking great. Wow. It's good. You know what? I feel you just told me your age, and I won't share that with the audience, but at the same time, there's a few years difference between us. But I can remember way back, I wasn't that young. I was 25 when I started in radio. I can remember my first time that red light went on at the radio station in Altona at 11:05, and I was reading sports for the first time, and it was a 4.5-minute news sportscast. And by the second minute, I couldn't breathe. because I hadn't taken a breath yet. It was they gave me that as a going away present, the audio tape of that. Tape at that time, it was tape. And anyway, so great. It's great. You know what? I talked to people this morning, and there's those people that say, "Hey, I don't want that snow," and then there's those people saying, "Bring it on." I'm the one that says, "Bring it on," for the simple reason, as one fella just told me earlier this week. You know, the Red River is so dry. You know, he took a video of it and he sent me the video where he can walk across anywhere at the Red River in near St. Jean, Manitoba. That's how low it is. Anywhere, just taking a few steps. Sure, there's trickle of streams going through, but it's low. And you know, and so that's the snow. Yeah, as everybody knows, 10 inches of snow is 1 inch of water. But we love that snow in wintertime. It covers the crops, it covers the fields, it keeps the fields and from blowing dirt when it gets windy. And so the snow is so welcome because we need to have runoff in spring so that we can fill up the streams. And once the streams fill up, then it starts to run into dugouts, and then it starts to fill up the rivers and so forth. So that's why snow is so vital now, especially because we talked to one cattle producer and he says, you know, he says right now at his place north of Winnipeg, he says, if we don't get really lots of moisture and rain, he says he could basically write off next year's crop. That's how dry it is right now. And so the snow, you know what? If we get it in the form of rain, so much the better in fall because it can soak in, it freezes up the dirt and so forth. But let it come in whatever form it may. We need it, and we need it bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and gonna be beneficial if we do end up getting a lot of snow just for farmers, you know, getting that moisture in there. I gotta ask you this, Harry, when's the last time we've seen the Red River this dry as it's been this year?
You know what? I don't know. The other thing that, and his name is Gilbert Sabarin, and we'll talk about him right now. I interviewed Gilbert yesterday morning. He farms right there at St. Jean. His father farmed, his grandfather settled the place years ago, and he doesn't remember, and he's not as old as I am, but his father is. They don't remember when it was as dry as it is or as low as it is right now. You know, people say, well, yeah, that's you know, that's the red, because once it gets to Winnipeg, of course, it gets narrower and there's more, looks like there's more water in the river, right? So people say, well, who cares? You know, we got water. Well, no, it's got to come. And not only that, the catchment area, meaning where does the Red River start and catch the water? It's about 50 miles, 100 kilometers south of Fargo, North Dakota. Yeah. That's where the catchment area comes. And so it has to come from that area. So any moisture those areas receive, it all has to come, because we remember, you don't, but I do, flood of 97, which was the flood of the century. I covered it. At that time I was doing television. And so I flew in an airplane. I was in the boat, and I think I've shared this before. The Red River flying south of Pembina, North Dakota, with a single engine plane, and bless his soul, it was the late Ben Weeb, who did flying lessons and spray plane at Morden, Manitoba. So we flew from Pembina, we flew from Morden, but we flew south. And all of a sudden he smiles and looks at me, and he smiles at me and he says, Harry, I says, we're flying illegally. I says, why? He says, a single engine plane can only be 1 mile from shore. And we were flying in the middle of the Red River. The Red River was 14 miles wide. And so, you know, and now we have a trickle. So that shows what, and what Gilbert told me is that, you know, he has land along the Red River. So it almost always floods. And so they spend hours, days collecting flood debris. This year was the first time in history where he's been farming he could remember they didn't have to collect any flood debris because the Red River stayed within its banks and didn't come over at all. So there's some things there. I mean, he knows how to farm that land. Gilbert told me about his crop this year. He said he had a better crop this year in this year's drought than he had in 2018, 2019, and 2020. There was about a 10 square kilometer area those 3 years that was in a drought. And he always had kind of 50-60% of the crop. This year he had a full crop. But that brings me to the next story, and that's the one about the update on the forward contracting, because Gilbert is the one I called about that. I had talked to Gilbert earlier in January, March maybe, and he talked about how he had forward sold crops. Now I followed up with him. I says, how did this work for you? Well, he says, luckily I was able to sell as quickly as I could, to buy out, not sell, but to buy the contract. And he says, even then, it cost him $1 a bushel for his contract. But he said, had he waited until harvest, it would have cost him $6 a bushel. So, and the other thing was he forward sold too soon. And so he's hauling, the day I called him on the Saturday, he's hauling 13 semi-loads of canola to the Bungie crushing plant in Altona, Manitoba. And he says, and that particular, he priced it all over the place. But he said, some of that right now, the canola price is around $20. He had priced some canola at 12. So he has to deliver that canola, and he sells, and he has to get his $12 with that he thought then was a real good deal, right? Now he sees the price at 20, and he says, but I tell him, I always tell people that, you've never made that money. It's not like money you've actually lost. You never had it. And so you can't lose something that you don't have. But at the same time, I'm a realist, and I know how Gilbert was upset and hurting, that he had done, because he said his 13 loads, and I forget what the exact bushel, doesn't matter. He had averaged on the low side of the 12 as far as getting paid for it. So, anyway, but he had enough canola to fulfill his contract, so he wasn't hurting there.
Wow, that's just crazy. The prices, it was like at 12 and then at 20, just nuts. The way this year is going.
That's right.
Farmers here, and across Canada, just the drought that we've seen this year, especially in Manitoba. But Harry, talking about something else here, the cattle farmer follow-up. We've talked about cattle farmers many times here on the show. I know that you said this is something that you wanted to talk about. Just talk about, more in depth into what you meant by, the cattle farmer follow-up, what we're following up on this week.
Ian Smith farms north of Winnipeg. I had a chance to visit with him this morning at 8:00. I did an interview with Ian, a follow-up to interviews I've done throughout the year, because he's sitting in that drought area. And he's a small farmer. He's just a quarter section farmer, but that doesn't matter. To me, a farmer is a farmer, whether he's got quarter section or 100 quarter sections. They just do things a little bit different. But Ian is smart when it comes to what he does. He inherited that quarter section from his mom and dad. He's a single fella. I think he's 58 years old. And so he was raising pigs and cattle. And because of the drought and the high cost of feed, he's moving down on his pigs. He's liquidated some of the pigs, and he's done a better job with cattle, because the input costs for cattle are much less than the input costs for pigs. But at the same time, and I'd like to do a shout out for Ian Smith, because he sells privately his pork, and he gets it butchered at BJ Packers, and then he does home delivery once you've ordered. You can order and whatever amount, you can determine what cuts you want it, and then he delivers it. So for him, in order to sell pigs on the market, on the world price, if he would be shipping to Maple Leaf, or he ships it privately like he does, he gets about $100 more per pig by going the extra work. But you may say, well, why is it so expensive? Well, it's not really expensive. The quality is top notch. You know exactly what you get when you buy this pork from Ian Smith. And so, yeah, so he tells me that he's okay for feed till about next April for his pigs, because he's cut back on pigs, and he's got enough feed as far as his cattle are concerned. And so I just wanted to say that there's a lot of cattle producers in the Interlake that are still struggling. We continue to see sales at the Ashern and some of the other auction marts where they're selling off partial herds and so forth, because some of these people just don't know how they're going to get it. It's not a matter of so much, as we've talked about getting the feed. It's a matter of getting it at a price that makes it worthwhile for you to feed your animal and then to sell. You know, if you're just putting it through the animal for the sake of putting it through and you're not making any money, then the animals right now have a pretty good price. They just liquidate them and sell them off. The sad part there, those guys, some of those guys may never be back in the cattle business.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to see, but just the way it goes sometimes, right? Just the way business is handled. Yeah, talking about one last thing, then we'll get into your farming tip of the week here on Siemens Says. But before that, the new chair of the Manitoba Pork Council, update us on who he is, who he is.
RINK Prairie. RINK is a hog producer from Notre Dame. And the group of farmers started back in 1994 to help the economy, to create jobs. So they started. So today they have 5,000 sows. They market 120,000 pigs a year to High Life. They have created since 1994 40-some jobs for Notre Dame. And that's a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
So Rick is now the new chairman of Manitoba Pork Council, and he wants to see, and it's going to be a tough sell, but I'm right there with him. He wants to be able to see other communities. They want to sell the positiveness of hog production in other communities, so other communities can enjoy the kind of economy that Notre Dame has enjoyed. Just a small community, but he says he had counted, he had forgotten how many houses these their workers own in Notre Dame, and they're from the Philippines, they're Latinos, he said, and they're from Mexico, and they all work together on this big pig farm. So Rick is the new chair of Manitoba Pork. I shout out to him. I appreciate him. I got to know Rick, and we had this hog producer Zoom meeting, and at the end, and it was his first time of chairing the meeting. So I had a chance to say something at the end, and I said, you know what? If Rick is as competitive running Manitoba Pork Council as its chairman as he was on the ball field when I was umpiring, I says the hog industry is in great shape, because I was an umpire when Rick was pitching back in 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
His 18-year-old son was the catcher. And today, his 18-year-old son isn't 18 anymore. He's now managing that big pig operation so that Rick has the time and the effort to put into Manitoba Pork Council. That's my shout out to Rick Prairie this morning.
And crazy how it comes full circle, how at one point his son is pitching in baseball, and then now he took over Rick's old job, and then Rick moving up into the ranks. It's awesome to hear. Awesome how those things work out in life. Hey, Harry. But, talking about your farming tip of the week here, the last thing on the agenda today on the Farm Report, what is Harry Siemens' farming tip of the week here on Siemens Says here on Rise and Shine Manitoba?
Well, you know what? As I've said it before, it's the time of year. It's time to sit back and let the nature take place. It's snowing. It's raining. It's November. I took my bicycle out for the last ride yesterday, and I'm getting it tuned up. I think that's exactly what farmers are going to be doing and should be doing. But my tip is, guys, sit back and relax. It's been just a really nail biter, hair curler kind of year this year. Sit back, enjoy the moisture, and relax, and just take a time off with your family. Of course, Remembrance Day, you've got the poppy. I didn't have mine on now. Your Remembrance Day on November the 11th. You know what? It's awesome. We should never forget the freedoms that we have today for those people that gave their lives for us way back when. And that's something we need to never, never forget.
Yeah, you're 100% right there, Harry. Never take what we have now for granted, ever, because I got to look back on those people that have given their sacrifice to give us this freedom, as well as the people that are still giving the sacrifice today to keep us, where we're at here in Canada, in my opinion, the greatest country in the world. Harry Siemens here on the Farm Report, of course, a man of many wise words. Great tip, as always, Harry, on your farming tip of the week on Siemens Says. We'll see you next Wednesday, but until then, you stay safe, enjoy, and like you told farmers out there, you sit back and relax. Hey, we'll speak again next week.
You bet.
Harry Siemens, the man on the Farm Report here on ASTV Productions on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, of course, brought to you by the sponsor right here, Wolf Enterprises. Sometimes I get that kind of mixed up, where this hand goes, where this one goes, with just the screen, the mirror type of screen here, with just me being on camera. It's hard to know if the right hand goes this way sometimes or the other way. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Farm Report on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Coming up after the break, goalie coach and marketing director Gordie Tumilson joins the show in a pre-recorded interview to talk about the past weekend of games for Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. All three of their programs were in action. He also talks about the upcoming games this weekend for the Academy and the upcoming game tomorrow for the U17 prep program at Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. An update on the marketing situation with Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, as well as what he's been working on with the goaltenders, and how the goaltenders are feeling after their weekend playing games. It's all coming up here on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. But first, we're going to throw it to a commercial break. We'll be right back here on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, in just a moment.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance. Quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Now on Rise and Shine Manitoba is goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, Gordie Tumilson. And Gordie, it was a busy weekend over for SAS TV Productions in Blackjack Stewart Arena in Pilot Mound, Manitoba, as we covered about 7 games in total 5 games with play-by-play, all that extra stuff, all the fun stuff with pre-game and analysis during the intermissions. But, I didn't see you this weekend. You decided to stay home, and I didn't blame you, Gordie. It was pretty darn cold in Blackjack Stewart Arena this past weekend. But how are you doing? How have things been since the last time that we've talked?
Well, thank you, Graham. Fine. And ASTV did a great job on the weekend. I didn't stay home because of the cold. I stayed home because I could watch 7 games on the weekend with all 3 of our teams playing. And sometimes they're playing at the same time. I would miss games. So I was able to catch 5 of those games, at home here with you guys doing the broadcast, and then a couple of games on the road. So it was a busy weekend for all of us, and connected very heavily to ASTV and the great production you guys put on.
Yeah, we're happy we could help you out there, Gordie, just giving you that access from watching games at home. And yeah, it was great to know that a lot of people were enjoying the coverage this past week, and that we were giving everyone a chance to see from many places around the world. But let's get down to business here. First off, a huge weekend for the U17s, a weekend with a lot of success. They went 2-1 on their weekend at the CSSHL U17 Prep Showcase in Pilot Mound. Looking at it, how the feeling is around the U17 group after having this type of weekend of success that they had.
Well, it's interesting you asked that first question for those boys. The kitchen staff here at the dormitory, when I walked in at 1:30 this afternoon coming in for practices, I always pop in to say hi to the kitchen staff. And to a person, the ladies there were all glowing and going, the boys are so happy this weekend. After the weekend games, they just felt like the weight had been lifted off their shoulders. So the players were showing great happiness with the 2 wins, and the other game is fairly close as well. So at the end of the 2-1. So at the end of the day, the U17 guys and the players and everybody around the building and the team are really pretty pleased with what went on the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And breaking it down here, a 3-1 loss to open up their weekend against Notre Dame on Friday, a 4-3 shootout win on Saturday morning over Prairie Hockey Academy, and a 2-0 win to finish off the weekend on Sunday morning against International Hockey Academy. But let's talk about the goaltending from the Buffaloes. Miles Gordon, Cameron Perrier, and Keane Hodgins all saw the ice this past weekend. From what you saw, just how proud you were of just how your goaltenders went out and performed for the U17s this past weekend.
Well, the goalies were exceptional for us. Again, good to know though that our defensive game improved considerably with all 3 games. That's really important. I mean, goalies can't function on their own. They require help, and they like to focus on making saves and on the puck and whatnot. But they need help protecting their backside, getting some block shot support, rebound removal support, those kinds of things. And that really has started to happen finally after 9 weeks now in the program. So we've been struggling to get here. We finally sort of got here against teams that are the same as we are or marginally better. Notre Dame is better than we are, and we lost to them 3-1 with an empty net goal. So Miles Gordon had a great game against them. Cameron Perrier won his first game, and the game that he won, I think, was 37 shots against us, and that's the first time we've had less than 40 shots in a game, I think, since the start of the year. So, he got away with one there with only having 37 shots, and then Keane Hodgins, put it to bed on the weekend with a beautiful 1-0 victory with an empty net goal by Carlos. So, the goalies are feeling really good. We just had a meeting. We had a little chat about that. So, goalies are feeling good, and the goalie coach is feeling great.
Yeah, for sure. You must be so proud to just see how these goaltenders were able to come out and perform. Really seemed like they just, every goaltender just seemed like they were in the zone and performed very exceptionally. But, looking at it, coming into this season, this U17 group, a new team, a lot of new faces this season, about only 3 returning players, to just see them come together at this point and show that they can play a solid game for a consistent 3 periods now at this point. Must be a lot of pleasure for Rick McConnell, head coach of this team, to see this group given an all-around, all-game effort for this team this past weekend.
I'm sure Rick's, of course, Rick is really pleased. Ernie Sutherland, his assistant, who's older than I am. I don't know how that can be, but he's 3 or 4 years older than me. They're both bubbling. We played 9 decent periods of hockey, some of it better than others, but for the most part, we were pretty consistent throughout the weekend, and that bodes well for the future. The kids are starting to get with the program and understand the positions, the different concepts that we've been trying to teach, and what their jobs are in each end of the rink. So we're not spending quite as much time in our end of the rink. We're moving the puck into the other team's end, where we've got some pressure on them a little bit now. Our forechecking is better, but everybody knows kind of where to be now. There's some skills that still need to be worked on, but yeah, our coaching staff and our players are really thrilled with what happened on the weekend for us.
And especially in that game against Prairie Hockey Academy, this team was down early on in this game in the first 4 minutes, 2-0. Of course, they battle back, tie the game up at 3 in the third period, forcing it to overtime and then going to a shootout and winning it. But just to see the fight shown by this group in that game, especially, just nice to know that this U17 team, even when they're down in games now, they're never out of it at this point if they continue to show an effort like that against Prairie Hockey Academy moving forward into the season.
Oh, exactly. I mean, they could have laid down after 2-0. We know the goalie's not going to lay down because we always challenge them. Because if you don't play well, you're going to do 2 million push-ups. So they really don't want to be that strong at the end of the day. So we have some fun with that. So they know the goalies aren't going to give up, and they've started to take that charge on. They just kept playing hard and found some chinks in the Prairie armor, and we were able to get back on track. Some of our better players, some of our goal scoring guys got it together, and then it was just dog eat dog right to the end, and we managed to be the guys that came up with the win.
Now, moving over to the U18 female group, bad loss for them against Pembina Valley, the Hawks from the MFHL on Sunday's exhibition game. 3-0 loss, outshot heavily in that game. Just the feeling around that group after suffering a loss like that this past Sunday in that exhibition game.
Yeah, they didn't think they played very well, and as a group, they knew they didn't play as they can. So they expected to be a little bit closer. We've played Eastman before and been closer to them. I mean, the score wasn't indicative of the play. The rink was really tilted in Eastman's favor. We had trouble moving the puck, and then we lost our sort of our number one player in Morgan Satie early in the game. Due to a penalty, and it didn't help us. And so we struggled on the offensive side. We didn't play bad defensively. Julie Ducharme made a lot of saves. A lot of those saves were from front and point blank range. They were from further out. And again, the defense was clearing some rebounds and doing some better things. So even though we were outplayed, we weren't outchanced by sort of degree of difficulty issues. It was just a lot of shots. I mean, and Julie was up to the task for the most part to keep it respectable.
Yeah, and she was definitely the biggest positive for this team in that 3-0 loss. Just Julie Ducharme, having she's been a strong point in a lot of the games that this team has played so far this season. Just what you saw from Julie's game in that Sunday game that allowed her to make most of the saves that she was making.
Well, she really is a very focused goalie. She that's her strength is staying with the puck. She's not technically the best player. Certainly doesn't always look like a smooth goaltender. She's not yet. She's worked her way up from an Alberta B goalie to a Manitoba AA goalie now, and she's working her way in a AAA level. And so in a short one season and a little bit now, working with myself, working here on the ice a lot last year, even though with COVID, she was still on the ice a lot. And then with her coach back in Airdrie, Alberta, she's really worked hard to bring her game right up to snuff. So she's got she knows where to be on the angles. She knows where to be position wise. And she's so focused. Her reflexes take care of a lot of stuff that she is required to make saves on. She covers the puck up like a monster. She just doesn't give up rebounds. She's really good at save and cover, and that's good for our team because sometimes we're not quite there defensively to help out. So Julie's been a strength, and but it's her focus that keeps her sort of atop of her game.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. And I think that's been on full display this season from especially when we've covered covered this team here on ASTV Productions. Talking about the U15 Male Prep group now, they were in Cairnport, Saskatchewan for 2 games against Prairie Hockey Academy's U15 group on Friday and Saturday. They were also in Winnipeg on Sunday to play the rink. But looking at it, to start off their weekend, a huge 3-2 win over Prairie Hockey Academy after coming off 2 losses, a blowout loss last Sunday against Notre Dame. To see them come in with that resiliency that we've seen all season long, and to get that 3-2 win against a team like Prairie Hockey Academy. How huge was that for this U15 group to start off their weekend like that?
Well, any win is a bonus for our guys at this moment. So to win that hockey game, we had a great team effort. I mean, the guys were up for the game, it seemed, and they played really well. So, and we do monitor this. This is something we try to keep our eye on, is what time the game is played at. This was a 7:15 or 6:15, 7:15, I guess, in Prairie, so in Saskatchewan, with the time change hadn't happened yet. So 7:15 there. So and Keen Reed played goal for us, and he was sharp as attack and good for us, and lucky for us. We managed to win the game again, outshot, but certainly he played really well, and the team played really well. So we got key goals at the right time, and we won the hockey game. We didn't play great, and our team didn't come out in the morning. And again, it's a different time in a different time zone. And so we're watching that issue as well. Are we waking up fast enough, early enough, getting enough breakfast or whatever it is, getting our blood going quicker. So we don't know that yet. We're going to watch that during the season and just see how this team responds at different times of the day. But we didn't play very well, and it showed on the scoreboard. So we took a bit of a beating there, and then headed home. But it was a good weekend because of the win, and we seem to bounce back from losses. So we're not going to worry about those kind of things.
Yeah, and just looking at it after that 3-2 win on Friday, of course, losing on Saturday 11-3, and then in Winnipeg on Sunday against the RINK Hockey Academy, losing 10-0. Just from what you heard from just what happened in those games, of course, you said might have been a factor in terms of like the certain time that they were playing, but in general, why what happened in terms of them giving up as many goals as they did, losing those games as badly as they did on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, the RINK game. That's a kind of a super league team. So, we're watching them play, and they're really. I think all their players are at the max age level and size level. They've got a neat program in Winnipeg, and they get to select. They get to select the select players. I mean, they're getting the top players out of the city and around, and then another player from here and there. So they're really they don't have a weak player on their hockey team, and they're good, and they're really good players are really good players, and so they've got an advantage on that side of the coin at the moment. So talking, and our guys played them pretty close. It was I think it was 4-0 at the halfway point of the game. In fact, it was 4-0 at the end of the second period. And for some reason, things fell apart a little bit in the third. But nonetheless, our guys played them a bit defensively. We were trying a few different defensive things, and it worked pretty well. However, it did spoil our offense on that. So the RINK game is kind of like, well, it's more of a learning experience. The disappointing game was the 11-3 loss on Saturday morning, which just comes out of nowhere. We should be better. We should be ready. And we weren't. And so, we looked poor. We played poorly, and the score was indicative of that.
Yeah, and of course, the storyline with this U15 team, U15 Male Prep program has just been their resiliency and their ability to bounce back. We'll have to see this upcoming weekend how this team bounces back when ASTV Productions is going to cover them at Blackjack Steer Arena this upcoming weekend. But getting into the goalie sessions and the meetings you've had with the goalies today, I guess earlier today, I know you always have goalie meetings, get to talk with them, talk about stuff with them, talk about how those goalie meetings went earlier today.
Well, I appreciate you focusing on the goalies. They may not be, sometimes, we talk about this being the hardest position on the teams. I really truly think defense is the hardest position to play kind of positionally. I mean, goalie can focus on the puck, and it's a tough position to play. Not that it isn't hard, but you really can focus on one thing primarily and do your job. But, first of all, we congratulated all of our goalkeepers for the great play on the weekend, and this really comes as part of our sort of focus, our attitude towards concentration, focus on the puck, trying to pick up the reads on the shooter sticks and how they're shooting the puck at us, body language on shots, where the skates are, where the weight's coming off the players shooting. There's a lot of little techniques, little things to watch for that some of the kids had sort of either forgotten or never been taught. So we worked on it. We continue to work on that. We had 2 practices today, the U17 boys and then the girls afterwards. And then we have our goalie session, which is 45 minutes of goalie hell. There's a lot of shots, a lot of pucks flying every which direction with a purpose. And we give shooters a chance to learn how to shoot properly. We have shooting practice as well as goalie practice. And yeah, we're working on, controlling rebounds, not giving up rebounds, that kind of stuff today. Standing up longer. A lot of folks don't understand the goalie position anymore. It used to be you stood up all the time and only went down occasionally. Now it's you go down all the time and only stand up occasionally. Well, it's reversed itself, and it's not a bad reversal. But sometimes when the shots are from further away, we need to be standing up a little bit more, and we work on that the last 2 weeks, and we've got better. And the kids are really great. They pick it up right away. They just start to do things almost the same day. It would take me months to do what these guys seem to do the next practice. So good on them. They're really intelligent people. And then we have those practices, the goalie session. Then we have a goalie meeting, and we talk about different read and react things and how to handle the puck and what they should be looking for on certain circumstances. So it's a lot of detail, a lot of reminder stuff. They've learned stuff in the past. Today I asked them how long they played goal, how long each one of them had been a goalie. And the average, I would say, is 5 years. So their kids are 14, 15 years old. 16, I guess, is the oldest. And they've been playing goal for an average of 5 years. So it's not that long. And they all haven't been playing AAA. I think we've only got one actual AAA guy. And everybody else has been sort of a AA or in that program. So, they're learning to ramp up their game to another level, which everybody on our teams are doing. And that's okay. And after, 8 weeks of this trial and error, we're getting it. And we're getting some help. So that makes a big difference for the goalies. We congratulated our teams on giving us more help, not taking 60 shots, but taking 40 shots. Well, that makes a big difference in a game. So we were really happy with that and pleased, and we did thank our teams for their effort to help us out.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to know that, especially for the U17s, goalies like Miles Gordon, Cameron Perry, and Keen Hodgins are getting more help in front of them to clear away rebounds, be more assignment sounds, and getting active sticks, getting in the lane of those shots to make it a bit easier on them. Always nice for the goaltenders to have that in any situation. But, with you being the marketing director of the Academy, Gordie, I haven't asked you this in a while. Give us an update on what's been happening, what the plans are here with the marketing heading into the upcoming months here and this month here with the Academy.
Well, we've got a pretty steady program. We've got you guys, and that's you're our major media source. The Sentinel Courier, the local newspaper, helps. This is all about publicity and that kind of stuff. Game On Magazine, we continue to use their work, and we've signed up KFGO radio station in this year as part of a promotional thing, 20 weeks during the season. So, we have an interview session with them on Thursday nights. So we've added that, and we also have junior elite recruitment company that gets our information out, social media and player information out to all of the colleges and all of the junior teams in the United States, through all of their sources, the major media, minor media. They do a great job there. They also have their website, and we have our website, of course, that are promoting Pilot Mound as a place to come to play hockey. So we continue to work on that. And right now we're putting a plan together for recruitment for the balance of the year. Recruitment's a big part of our program. COVID really interfered with that this past year, and that has shown. It hurt us this year in terms of some of the players that we longed to have here, and we could have had here under normal circumstances. We just weren't able to get them here because they were coming from places that either weren't compliant with COVID rules, or the parents weren't, families weren't, or they just couldn't get here for various reasons. So we expect that to change this coming season, and we expect there'll be a few changes on our teams next year, because we'll be able to attract more of the sort of triple that we would like to have in our program, and that allows us to compete at the same level as some of the big city academies.
Of course, Gordie, big weekend coming up here on the network. Starting off with, I guess when this episode comes out this morning on Wednesday, as we are doing this pre-recorded on Tuesday night. On Thursday afternoon, the U17s will be playing a game against the Brandon Wheat Kings from the Manitoba U18 AAA Hockey League, and then a big weekend coming up here on the network on ASTV Productions, and a lot of teams in action for the Academy this weekend overall. Just talk about the upcoming games that the Academy is going to have, not only on Thursday, but this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, the U17s play Brandon twice. We've got the home game on Remembrance Day in the afternoon after all the ceremonies. And please buy a poppy. It's important to do that. Yep, thank you, Graham. Yep, everybody should do that. And remember our fallen heroes. Yep. The girls, I'll go back to U15s, play 2 times at home on the weekend. So we play Saturday afternoon and again Sunday late in the morning. So that we've got 2 games there. That'll be fun for our guys to get back on the ice and get after some more wins in that series. And then the girls are off to Calgary. So hopefully the weather will hold up. We're talking, we're a little bit ahead of the sort of incoming snowy weather that's going to sort of hit Alberta, Saskatchewan, and southern Manitoba over the next, and carefully get to Calgary and get in. I think they play 4 games on the weekend, and that'll be fun. So I'm going to be probably another homebody again, watching all of this on TV. So I can get all the games in two screens going, watching ASTV do your thing here at Pilot Mound. My apologies if I'm not here, but I do like to watch all the games and be able to critique the kids as best I can and help with our progress there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend again. Another, I guess, 6 or 7 games. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Going to be a lot of fun coming up this weekend for the games we're covering here on ASTV Productions, along with all the other teams on the academy, in the academy that will be in action. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy for the Buffaloes programs, here joining us here on this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. Gordie, you stay safe, and if we don't see you on the weekend, we'll talk next week on Tuesday, 7 days from now. You take care.
Perfect. Thanks, Graham.
Got to unmute my mic there. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, joining us here on this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show, and to give you guys an update of what games are going to be going down from Pilot Mound Hockey Academy and Blackjack Stewart Arena in Pilot Mound, Manitoba this upcoming weekend. Of course, game tomorrow for the U17 program going up against the Brandon Wheat Kings AAA team from the Manitoba U18 AAA League. That game will be starting at 2:30 p.m. You guys can catch it on ASTV Productions. And then looking ahead to the weekend, the U15s is the team that we'll be covering here on ASTV Productions. They have a game on the 13th on Saturday and on the 14th on Sunday. That game on Saturday going at 3:30 p.m. and the game on Sunday going at 11:15 a.m. Both of those games for the U15 prep program, the Buffaloes U15 team will be against Prairie Hockey Academy's U15 team. So yeah, check it out this weekend on ASTV Productions. Anywhere you guys watch our broadcasts, make sure to tune in, and also tune in to tomorrow's game on Remembrance Day in the afternoon. I won't be at that game. I won't be there, unfortunately. I got some family stuff planned. Gonna spend the day with the family. I got a lot of stuff planned on Remembrance Day. So yeah, but I'll be in Pilot Mound for those 2 games on the weekend between the U15 Buffaloes taking on Prairie Hockey Academy. Of course, that game on Saturday is this month's CSSHL game of the month. So going to be a good one, going to be a lot of fun. And before we go to our next commercial breaks, I want to show you guys some of the biggest moments from Pilot Mound Hockey Academy's U17 Male Prep Buffaloes, their win over the Prairie Hockey Academy U17 team in this past weekend's CSSHL U17 Prep Showcase in Pilot Mound, Manitoba. So far on the network, in my opinion, I said it on the broadcast, and I've said it many times to just people that I've talked to afterwards, that was the game of the year on the network until this point. The Buffaloes trailed all the way until the third period when they tied it up late in that game. We don't have that tying goal for you guys, but we got the second goal of the game scored for Pilot Mound by Izzy Amy. A huge save by Cameron Perry, I believe, in the third period, as well as this game went to the shootout, and the Buffaloes took it with a 4-3 win. So we're going to show you guys the shootout as well coming up, and then we'll go to a commercial break here. So enjoy some of the best moments from Pilot Mound's big win this past Saturday and this year's game of the year so far on the network between the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy Buffaloes U17 team and Prairie Hockey Academy. Enjoy, everybody.
Buffaloes end. Constant getting the puck back in the neutral zone, goes to Amy. Amy shot, scores! And Izzy Amy with the rip, and was that... Looks like it was Izzy Amy who shot that puck there, Cody. What a snipe there by him. I believe that Curry got a bit of a piece of it, but the shot there from Amy a bit too strong.
Yeah, beautiful shot by Izzy Amy. And just looking at my stat sheet here, I do believe that is his first of the CSSHL season so far this year. And what a beautiful shot. And a nice play by Jack Smith, Jack Smith and Laz Constant there to create the play.
Buffaloes keeping this puck in the zone. And now here's a chance for Ochetois. Blows by the man, Ochetois shoots, and that's a save and ends up going off of the post. What a chance there for McCade Ochetois. And wow, an entertaining finish to this second period. Very good guess. Here's Sam Takahashi. Gains the blue line here. Takahashi looks, shoots, scores! Takahashi going blocker side. Putting Pilot Mound up early here in this shootout. The Buffaloes strike first. It's Ochetois for Prairie Hockey Academy, looking to tie things up here in the shootout. Ochetois coming in now, a little right to left. Ochetois fans on that one and coming up big again, even though it wasn't the prettiest shot. Cameron Perrier
managed to wait him out there and pull it off.
And here he is, Laz Constant. He's going to circle back a bit at the blue line, and now he's going to pick up the puck. Constant coming in, looks at Deeks. Dirty dangle by Laz Constant. Clean off the tape, looking at the Prairie Hockey Academy bench. What a move by Laz Constant.
I think that one might be on the highlight reel.
And now, here is Hogan coming in for Prairie Hockey Academy. Hogan looks, shoots 5-0 scores. Not a shot, rather a deke. Goalie hands there from Hogan, keeping Prairie Hockey Academy in this shootout. It's going to be Izzy Amy, the man who drew second blood or the second goal for Pilot Mound in this game, looking to end it. Buffaloes looking. Goal! What a backhand! What a goal! And Izzy Amy completes the upset, a shocker here in Pilot Mound, Manitoba to start off our coverage today. The Buffaloes take this game 4-3 in a shootout, defeating the second place team in the U17 Prep program division, the U17 Prep division. Prairie Hockey Academy.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And there it is, some of the best moments from that Saturday morning matchup between the U17 Male Prep Buffaloes from Pilot Mound Hockey Academy and the Prairie Hockey Academy U17 team. The Buffaloes completing an upset, a shocker, a thriller in Blackjack Stewart Arena in Pilot Mound, Manitoba this past Saturday. And my apologies, got to clarify one thing. That save from Cameron Perrier coming at the end of the second period as time was expiring. I said the third period, it was the second period. My bad about that. My bad for that. Rather, but yeah, coming up after these next commercial breaks, it's going to be in this week's edition of Graham's Opinion. Coming up, we're going to recap the Buffaloes U17 Male Prep program's weekend in Blackjack Stewart Arena in Pilot Mound, Manitoba, in that CSSHL U17 showcase. The things that they did well, the things that were kind of on the weaker side of things for them, and just overall how their weekend went as well. Going to recap the Jets 3-2 shootout loss, the Winnipeg Jets 3-2 shootout loss last night to the St. Louis Blues, and also going to be given a rant on the Henry Ruggs III DUI that he ended up getting last week, and just a very unfortunate situation. But yeah, that's coming up after these commercial breaks on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, here on ASTV Productions. Stick with us for more after these commercial breaks.
Hello, my name is Loretta Mitchell, owner of Evolve Green, and here at Evolve Green we take the environment very seriously. We have a 10 kilowatt solar system that offsets our main facility by 75%, as well as maintaining natural prairie on our grounds. Our mission, creating renewables that work for you. I started Evolve Green in 2008 with a passion for the environment and wanting to change my corner of the world. And that remains the same today. Through design, consult, and installation, we provide renewable energy systems and storage integration. Here at Evolve Green, we help Canadians rethink power and storage to help fortify our children's future. To learn more, visit evolvegreen.ca.
And welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions Manitoba show, brought to you by Evolve Green and AETI. And yeah, we are just over the 1 hour mark, going on the 1 hour and 1 minute mark of today's episode. Two guests joined the show today, in Harry Siemens on the Farm Report, talking about what's happening in agriculture, giving us some updates on some things that have been happening, and talking about the snowfall that we're going to get today here in Manitoba. I know here in Winnipeg, I'm looking out my window right now. I do not see it snowing at the moment. I'm sure that's going to change very soon. But yeah, crazy. We're at that time of year where the snow is going to be falling. This year has just flown by, to be honest. It seems like as the years go along, as I get older, time flies faster and faster by. But getting your guys' thoughts on the snow. Are you a fan of the snow, or are you not a fan of the snow? Leave a comment, your thoughts below, and maybe if you want, just explain why you love the snow, why you might not like it. But yeah, also Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, joined the show in a pre-recorded segment, in a pre-recorded interview, to talk about this past weekend of games from the academy, the upcoming weekend, and some other things as well. Of course, we also showed some of the best moments from, in my opinion, what has been and was the game of the year so far here on the network, that 4-3 shootout win by Pilot Mound on Saturday morning against Prairie Hockey Academy. Prairie Hockey Academy, why it was such a big upset for the Buffaloes was because Prairie Hockey Academy, coming into that game, and I believe they still are, second place in the U17 prep division in the CSSHL on the male side of things. So a huge win for the Buffaloes. Congratulations to them, as well as on their big weekend. We're going to get into that big weekend, recapping the strengths, some of the things that Pilot Mound could have done better here, coming up on this week's edition of Graham's Opinion. Of course, we're going to talk Buffaloes U17 hockey, as well as the Jets' 3-2 shootout loss yesterday against the St. Louis Blues last night at home. The Winnipeg Jets were. But starting off with this, a rant. If you guys are not aware, Henry Ruggs III, former receiver now for the Las Vegas Raiders in the NFL, a receiver that was drafted last year by the Raiders. I believe it was in the first round. Yeah, I believe he was a first round pick. Going off the top of my head, but in his second season this year, a guy that showed so much promise, could have been a stud in his career, threw it all away with just a brutal, unfortunate situation. Henry Ruggs III, now former receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, was going 156 miles per hour before colliding with a vehicle which went up in flames. The vehicle of Tina Tinter, a 23-year-old, unfortunately passing away after the car crash happened. And it was said that Ruggs's blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. And just looking at it, looking at an article I read, Tina Tinter, 23-year-old, was killed along with her dog. They were driving home in the early morning hours of November 2nd when Ruggs, who was driving a 2020 Chevrolet Corvette, slammed into the back of her 2013 Toyota RAV4 near Spring Valley Parkway in Las Vegas. And this is this week's rant. What are you doing, Henry Ruggs? What are you doing? What are you thinking with everything the NFL offers for a DD service? You could have called an Uber, but instead you decided to make the unfortunate and poor, stupid decision to get in the car and drive, and unfortunately ending in a young lady, a 23-year-old, losing her life. Now, I'm not sure actually if the dog survived or not. I could be wrong on that, but she was in the car with her dog driving home in the early morning, in the early hours of November 2nd. And just the stupidity. You had everything in front of you. I'm pretty sure Ruggs was making $1 million, well over $1 million, making millions to play a sport, to have an opportunity that people around the world, kids growing up as athletes playing sports, whether it be football, hockey, baseball, whatever, in this case, football, for people that played football growing up, they'd kill for this opportunity to be in this position. My apologies, maybe not the best word to use, kill, but would almost give anything to get this opportunity to play in the NFL. You had everything right in front of you, the greatest opportunity in the world to play a professional sport, and you threw it all away because you got too messed up, you got too drunk, and you decided to get in the car. I don't understand it, why this is a thing, why people still decide to get into the car when they're drunk and get behind the wheel. And it resulted in costing this young lady her life. Prayers and thoughts go out to her family. And this is a situation now that Ruggs, that moment in his life, that stupid decision that he's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life, that costed him his career, his opportunity to play football at the highest level in the NFL. And honestly, I have no remorse for him. I know that he made a stupid mistake, but honestly, no remorse for someone that gets in the vehicle under the influence. You made that decision. You made that choice. Even though you are drunk, you still can make decent choices. Let's not blame it on the alcohol, even though in this case, the alcohol, caused him to make the crash. Let's not blame it on the alcohol, though. Let's blame it on Henry Ruggs for making a poor decision. You knew that you could have a safe ride home, and you did not choose it. You were stupid. You were ignorant. It was arrogance. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if, you think he's just a kid, he made a stupid decision. No, he's old enough, he's mature enough to have that opportunity to play in the NFL. The Las Vegas Raiders drafted you to have this opportunity, and you threw it all away because you were stupid. You got in the car under the influence, and it ended up costing a 23-year-old's life. And I'm absolutely mad. I'm devastated because, it was so unavoidable. You could have gotten a safe ride home. You could have called an Uber, a taxi, whatever. The NFL literally offers their players a service for a safe ride home. But no, you got in the car. You were feeling on top of the world, going 156 miles per hour at one point, well over 120 miles per hour at the very least, and you costed not only a young girl's life, but a lot of trauma, most likely, on the family in that is involved with Tina Tinter, a 23-year-old, and rest in peace to her. I hope her family is doing all right. And Ruggs, you know what? You just scummy move. I don't care. You had all of the opportunity in front of you, this great opportunity in the world, and you could have driven home safe, gotten a safe ride home, called an Uber, used the services, the what's the resources that are offered by the NFL. But no, you got into the car, you made that stupid decision, and now you have to live with it. I hope you get sentenced for a very long time, Henry Ruggs III. Just an awful tragedy, gut-wrenching. And no remorse for people who get in the car with in terms of having a DUI. And I know that I was talking about Kenny Lawler earlier on in the year here on Graham's Opinion, and giving him excuses. Looking back at it, looking at the situation, Kenny Lawler was also stupid too, and he's lucky. He's more than lucky to still be able to play that game of football in the CFL for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, no matter the talent. Looking at the situation, looking at how devastating this is from now on, anyone who gets charged with a DUI, killing people or not as a result of it, no remorse for that, because as pro athletes, you have this privilege, yes, not a right, a privilege to play at one of the highest levels of your sport in the world. And for Henry Ruggs III, he chose to throw it all away on November 2nd. But let's get into something a bit more positive. Not too positive for me and other Jets fans, but more positive than the Henry Ruggs situation. The Jets 3-2 shootout loss last night against the St. Louis Blues. In the first period, the Blues were up 1-0. In the second period, I believe, yes, the Jets did take the lead. Just looking at it again, I always get a bit foggy on the details. I always kind of forget, but what the score was in the game. I literally watched the game. That just goes to show that maybe my memory is going a bit. But looking at it, yes, the Winnipeg Jets tied it up in the second period after being down 1-0 to the St. Louis Blues. In the third period, the Jets ended up taking the lead off of a goal from Kyle Connor, and then later on in that period, Jordan Kyrou timed this game up. Of course, it goes to overtime. No one scored in overtime, so it went to a shootout. And the Jets 0-4 in the shootout. The Blues 1-4 in the shootout. A beautiful goal scored by Ryan O'Reilly, walking in and burying it, Roof Daddy up top with a beautiful backhand on Connor Hellebuck, backhand high glove side. And yeah, that was the result of the Blues winning this game in that shootout with the score of 3-2. But looking at the shots in this game, 41-33 in favor of the Winnipeg Jets in the first period. The Blues outshot them 8-6. But other than that, in regulation, Winnipeg getting 17 shots in each of the second and third period, 17-5 for the Jets in the second period in favor of them in the shot count, and then 17-10 for the Jets in the third period. Of course, in overtime, it was more on the Blues side of things, way more actually, 10-1 for them in overtime. They absolutely dominated in overtime. Jets kind of lucky to get out of overtime and go to the shootout, but Connor Hellebuck was great in that overtime period. But looking at the power plays, the Blues, their first goal of the game came on the power play. They only got one man advantage in that game, and that came in the first period. They scored on it, 1-1 on the power play, and the Jets 0-2 on the power play. The three stars in this game being Jordan Kyrou, who had a goal and an assist, 2 points in 17 minutes and 20 seconds of ice time. He ended up tying up the game. Neil Pionk got the second star in the game. He had the goal in the second period, no assists in 1 point, 1 goal, no assists in 22 minutes and 45 seconds of ice time in that game. And Jordan Binnington well deserved that first star, 39 saves on 41 shots faced. Now, let's talk about the Jets' strengths in this game, because even though they lost this game, there was a lot to like about the Jets' performance. Honestly, the Jets got this game stolen from them. Just looking at it, looking at the shots they created, the shot attempts they had, the shots they put on net, as well as just them controlling the play for a vast majority of this game. The strengths from the Jets, in my opinion, came from them attacking the zone with speed, on zone entries, attacking the zone with speed, driving the puck to the net, and created chaos in front of the net as well. I felt the Jets also moved the puck around very nicely in the O zone, quick passes, finding the open man, working the puck around nicely, opening up lanes to get those passes to open teammates. And really, that's been something that Winnipeg has done well this year, is just that quick passing game, finding open ice, their puck carriers out there, being able to locate and realize that there are open men out there that are going to get the puck and have a better chance of scoring rather than holding that puck. And the Jets, something they've done really good this year is guys like, example, Mark Scheifele, knowing that he's such an offensive threat with the puck, holding that puck a bit, having puck poise, and really just drawing opposing players to him and opening up lanes. Not the only guy, Mark Scheifele, that's been able to do that for the Jets this year. PLD's done that nicely, as well as some other guys, Nikolai Ehlers, Kyle Connor, just a few names that come to mind. But Jets really doing a good job of realizing that the players that have been able to do that are offensive threats, and they've been able to draw players in, opening up lanes, open passing lanes for that, drawing players to them. Looking at the Blue strengths in this game, a big reason why they won this game, obviously the goaltending performance of Jordan Binnington, but them clogging up lanes, clogging up the house, getting in lanes in front, and really making it difficult for the Jets to get high quality shots on net at points in that game, as well as having active sticks on the forecheck, good positioning on pressures as well, really making it difficult at times for the Jets to move that puck up the ice at points in this game. But overall, the Jets in this game, in my opinion, should have had it. 2 goals scored by the Blues in that game, of course, in that first period. I forget who exactly scored it. Let me take a look. It was, just got to get the full pronunciation of his name here. Buchnevich, Pavel Buchnevich on the power play, getting into open space in the Jet zone as the St. Louis Blues retain the puck in their own zone, breaking it out, and then just a sweet pass laid on by him. A bit of a weaker goal let in by Helly, but nonetheless a great play, a great job by Buchnevich to realize that he's going to have some open space with the man down by the Jets on the power play, receiving that puck from a beautiful feed by James Neal. Yes, James Neal. James Neal finding him with that pass, and Buchnevich doing the rest, knowing that he has open ice in front of him, open space, and walking and putting that in on Hellebuck. And the last goal, Buchnevich again with good zone entry, breaking in with speed, going inside, outside on DeMello. And I felt like DeMello honestly played that well. He tried getting a stick on the puck afterwards. I'm pretty sure he got a bit of a piece on that pass that went to Jordan Kyrou, but on that play, I felt like Logan Stanley could have done a better job of taking away the stick of Kyrou, kind of a bit lazier on that play, a bit more laid back, and Kyrou making the Jets pay on that, putting that in the back of the net to get the win. But players who stood out for the Jets in that 3-2 shootout loss was obviously a guy like Neil Pionk, who was transitioning that puck out of the zone very nicely, creating a lot of opportunities on goal to get opportunities in the offensive zone once he was there. Wonderful skating by Pionk in that game. Pretty sure he was pretty physical as well from what I remember, and just looking at that goal at the blue line, getting pressure, doing a wonderful job of protecting that puck by, protecting it, doing a little spinorama at the blue line, and then putting it top shelf. Another guy that stood out was Kyle Connor, just his speed on the zone entries, generating chances, getting that puck on net, moving the puck around pretty nicely. And guy who stood out for the St. Louis Blues as well was, of course, a guy like Jordan Binnington. Pavel Buchnevich who was just fantastic with the puck, and a guy like Jordan Kyrou as well, who is playing a good game, using his speed, getting into the spots to get good shots on net. And overall, a game, those three guys for the St. Louis Blues standing out to me. But overall, in the end, the Jets, a game that they felt like they should have had, blowing it a bit, blowing their opportunity. Lucky this game didn't end in overtime, but once again, that was just an outstanding performance in that game by Connor Hellebuck in that overtime period. Of course, the Jets, after this game, after that loss, they fall to 6-3-3 on the season. I've been using the score app, and for some reason the score app has been pretty bad on their standings, not having the teams in the right places. So I'm going to look at it again. Yeah, the Jets staying in third place in the Central. They are 2 points back of St. Louis at 15 points now. And the Blues improving to 8-2-1 on the season, having an impressive start to their 2021-2022 regular season campaign in the NHL. But yeah, looking at it, the Winnipeg Jets will be in action coming up on Remembrance Day. So tomorrow at home against the San Jose Sharks at 7 p.m. The St. Louis Blues will be in action next as well on Remembrance Day at 7 p.m. As well against the Nashville Predators at home. And in terms of the next game that'll be breaking down here on Graham's Opinion for the Winnipeg Jets, it will be that Tuesday game at home the Jets will have against the Edmonton Oilers. And the Jets still on a homestand. They've been at home for 4 games now. They got 3 more games at home. The end of their 7-game homestand is going to be coming next Tuesday against the Edmonton Oilers, when McDavid, Draisaitl, and company will be in town to take on the Winnipeg Jets. So yeah, going to be a fun one to break down. Always fun to break down a game where McDavid plays. And if you guys enjoyed this part of Graham's Opinion, let us know in the comments down below. Where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? You guys let me know your thoughts of how I broke down this game today on Graham's Opinion. But looking at the last thing to cover here on Graham's Opinion for this November 10th edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, it's the Pilot Mound Buffaloes U17 Male Preps weekend. And what a weekend for this team. They're really moving in the right direction, building off of some of the successes that they had in Calgary the week before, of course, getting a huge win over the Edge Hockey School. I believe that's the full pronunciation of their name, but they went to Calgary, beat the Edge after losing 4 games to them the weekend before in their home arena at Blackjack Stewart Arena. Of course, that team, Pilot Mound, they ended up winning the game in Calgary against the Edge. They ended up tying Prairie Hockey Academy as well in that tournament, and they ended up losing 2 games, the first game of the tournament and in that quarterfinal. I forget who in the quarterfinal, but 2-1 for them coming out of this weekend. In those 3 games, of course, they lost that first game of the weekend on Friday to the Notre Dame Hounds 3-1. And then, of course, they ended up getting the better of Prairie Hockey Academy, like we've mentioned before in the show, 4-3 in the shootout on Saturday morning, and then finishing off with a shutout win 2-0 against International Hockey Academy's U17 prep team on Sunday morning to conclude the Buffaloes weekend. But looking at the strengths, got to start off with this. The goaltending from the Buffaloes. Miles Gordon, Cameron Perry, and Keen Hodgins, their 3 goaltenders on that U17 team, were all excellent in the games they played. Miles Gordon, Gordon Perrier and Keen Hodgins doing a very good job of cutting down angles in that game, moving post to post very nicely, and really being square to that puck on a lot of the shots that they faced. And a thing that was huge for the Buffaloes this weekend, a large part of their success was their play in the opposing team's end on the forecheck, being heavy on the forecheck, getting active sticks in there, causing some turnovers, and that high guy doing a really good job in their offensive zone coverage, in their offensive zone attack, to be at the blue line, step into the play to pick off pucks, and then take it in for an opportunity to get a shot on goal. This team as well also tightened up things defensively, in front of the net, being more assignment sound than I think that we've seen them so far this year, doing a good job of clearing away rebounds, getting sticks on sticks again in the defensive zone, and making it tough for teams at times to break in and get into break down that defense. One thing that I felt kind of lacked from them later on in that game, in that loss that they suffered to Notre Dame, is they kind of got away from their game of taking away that man in the slot that resulted in the game-winning goal for Notre Dame in that matchup. But overall, going back to the forecheck, really generating turnovers, creating chances for them to get that puck back and create offense. They moved it around really nicely in the offensive zone as well, whether it be on the power play, moving the puck around the outside, and then waiting for their opportunity to come in and attack, getting that puck to the man in the slot, getting that puck to the man in tight to the goal. The Buffaloes doing a really good job at that. And just the effort by the Buffaloes this weekend, even when they were down in games, they continued to fight, they continued to push and really push these teams to the brink. Like Notre Dame, it was a 2-1 game. The Buffaloes had a lot of opportunity to tie that game up. One that comes to mind is Izzy Amy ringing one off the post in that game against Notre Dame in the last moments. He got a lot of chances in those last moments too. Not a lot, but 2 chances, which I guess is a lot in the last moments of the game. But overall, this team's effort, being able to fight back, was something that I really admired about the Buffaloes, and them just giving a consistent effort throughout those periods. Looking at some of the weaknesses now from the Buffaloes, and really these are minor things, but things that they'll be surely looking to clean up, I'm assuming this week in practice especially. But starting off slow, most notably in that game against Prairie Hockey Academy and the International Hockey Academy, the Buffaloes kind of on their heels early on against Prairie Hockey Academy. They let up 2 goals in the first 4 minutes of that game. Prairie Hockey Academy was able to break them down with their speed, moving the puck around the zone nicely, quick passes, breaking them down, getting in close on the Buffaloes. The Buffaloes really being mesmerized by that puck, and created them to kind of do a bit of puck watching in that game. But as the periods went along, the Buffaloes got better, of course. International Hockey Academy in that Sunday game started off really strong against the Buffaloes. They just couldn't sustain it for a consistent 20 minutes in all 3 periods. But just looking at defensive zone breakdowns, I already pointed to it. The Buffaloes kind of breaking down defensively at times in that game against Prairie Hockey Academy, especially early on in the periods. Prairie Hockey Academy bringing that puck down low, hard on the forecheck, kind of, using their puck poise, their puck patience to draw Buffaloes players in, most notably on that first goal scored in that game against the Buffaloes in that Prairie Hockey Academy matchup that they had. A shot from the point by Slugoski. I forgot who got the puck behind the net after, or behind the goal line after the rebound was scored, but Prairie Hockey Academy hard on the forecheck there, and then that player for Prairie Hockey Academy taking it around the net, drawing 2 Buffaloes players to him, and that opened up a spot in the slot for a Prairie Hockey Academy player to get open, and a quick pass there out in front. They made no mistake about it, putting it in the back of the net. But another thing that I felt struggled a bit more in that game against Prairie Hockey Academy especially was just the penalty kill. Of course, Prairie Hockey Academy being as skilled as a team they are in the offensive zone, did a good job of moving that puck around, really being quick, moving it around, having some puck patience, drawing Buffaloes defenders, Buffaloes players to them. The Buffaloes kind of running around on that PK caused them to leave a lot of open ice open for the Prairie Hockey Academy players to make cross ice passes and to find good opportunities to put that puck in the back of the net. Of course, that work that they put on the power play by the Buffaloes, with the Buffaloes running around was just a result of their good work with the puck, moving it around, holding that puck, drawing Buffaloes players in. It left a man wide open on the right side, had a lot of space to walk in, and he roofed it top shelf on the blocker side. But overall, the defensive zone breakdowns really weren't there often for the Buffaloes this weekend. Looking at that game against Notre Dame, the Buffaloes did a really good job this weekend of keeping teams to the outside, not really allowing them to get into the inside. Sure, Notre Dame had some times when they were able to just get a bit of separation behind the Buffaloes defense and go for cross crease passes, cross ice passes there, but Miles Gordon was up to the test in that game. So overall, a lot of strengths from the Buffaloes, going 2-1 this weekend for their U17 program at the CSSHL U17 Prep Showcase. Just the starting slow, was a bit costly for the Buffaloes in games, really had them back on their heels at points. But once they got comfortable, once they got into the game, once they got that transition game going, once they ended up sustaining a good forecheck, sustaining pressure on these teams, they really had a lot of success. And the Buffaloes got outshot in 2 of these games, but we're starting to see a lot less shots generated on them. And I feel like it's just because of that defensive zone coverage tightening up a bit, having a bit more success on the breakout, being a bit more patient on the breakout, not throwing the puck away as much into those high dangered areas that are going to be picked off by teams, and just the forecheck coming to fruition for the Buffaloes this past weekend. And the goaltending performance, of course, fantastic from not only Miles Gordon, but Cameron Perrier and Kean Hodgins as well, who ended up getting a shutout and was absolutely sensational in that game against International Hockey Academy. And one last thing that the Buffaloes want to kind of sort out is just not losing their heads, not getting sucked into the mind games that these teams are playing late down the stretch. In that game against Notre Dame, that game-winning goal came on the power play. The Buffaloes ended up taking 2 penalties late in that game, and it was just, I feel like, them getting a bit frustrated, being a bit off their game. What's the right word here? I guess taking penalties that didn't come from good discipline, kind of taking silly penalties that weren't necessary in that game, and that kind of costed them. That did cost them in that game against Notre Dame. But overall, the Buffaloes getting to those dirty areas, on the forecheck, being heavy on the forecheck, that was a big strength for them overall in this game, as well as the other stuff that I mentioned. So that's going to do it for this edition of Graham's Opinion. Got to take a sip of water right here and just kind of relax for a moment. Got to keep the voice intact, because the job here is you do a lot of talking throughout these shows. So I do a lot of talking throughout these shows. So if the voice goes, not going to be a pretty sight for you guys to listen to. But that's going to do it for this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show here on this November 10th date here in 2021. Of course, I have not seen the snowfall yet here in Manitoba, here in Winnipeg, but I'm going to go check it out after I end off this broadcast. Before I end off, I want to thank the guests in today's episode in Gordie Tumilson for joining the show in a pre-recorded interview to talk about the Buffaloes, the Academy's past weekend of games throughout all 3 programs in the Academy. I also want to thank Harry Siemens for coming on and joining the Farm Report for this week. As always, I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, as well as our sponsors in Evolve Green and AATI for sponsoring another edition of the show, as well as I hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of Graham's Opinion. Like I said, with the Winnipeg Jets recap that I gave, leave your thoughts below on, what you liked from the breakdown, what you didn't. Leave your thoughts on that as well. Leaving your thoughts on how I did on my breakdown for the Buffaloes U17 weekend. Any comments, any likes, feel free to like it. But any kind of traffic that is generated to our episode, if you share this episode, get more eyes on it, not only helps us, but helps every one of the guests we have here on Rise and Shine Manitoba get a bit more notice on them. So not only a win for us here at ASTV Productions, but a win for everyone involved that comes on these shows. Of course, Manitoba Show will return next week on Wednesday morning. You guys can catch that episode on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our website at astvproductions.com, or on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. Be sure to stay tuned for who those guests will be. We'll be releasing the guest list of who will be on next week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba sometime next week on our Facebook and Twitter, as well as on our Instagram at ASTV Productions. But until next Wednesday, folks, I've been your host, Graham Forsyth, signing off now. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and take some time tomorrow on Remembrance Day to tune into the ceremonies that are going to be shown on TV. I know that CBC always shows a ceremony in the capital of the country in Ottawa, but not sure how COVID's working this year in terms of how it's going to affect the in-person ceremonies. But if you have a chance to do that, be sure to check out an in-person ceremony to just remember the people that fought for our country, the people that have sacrificed so much for us to have what we have now. Of course, if you can, get a poppy. I've been wearing a poppy ever since last week. I'm happy. I'm pumped I was able to get one this year. That was something I was missing last year here on the network. Happy to be able to do that this year, because this is just a symbol of respect, a symbol of remembering the fallen soldiers and the soldiers that are still alive that fought for our country, that have given us this opportunity to have the freedom that we have here in the greatest country in the world, in my opinion, the great country of Canada here in North America. But yeah, take some time to remember tomorrow the sacrifices that these soldiers, that people have given in this country. Spend the day with your family, and anyone else that is close to your heart, dear to your heart. And yeah, just take some time tomorrow to, give your thoughts, remember the fallen soldiers and everyone that fought for our country, like I said, to give us this opportunity to have the freedom here in Canada. But yeah, see you guys next Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Have a wonderful Remembrance Day, everybody. Enjoy the game on Remembrance Day between Pilot Mound Hockey Academy's U17 Male Prep Buffaloes and the Brandon Weeking's U18 AAA team from the Manitoba AAA team. Enjoy the weekend as well. Hope you guys tune into ASTV Productions for all the coverage we're going to have of games that will be broadcasted on the network. Yeah, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Stay safe out there. And until next Wednesday, I'm Graham Forsyth, host of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, signing off now. Take care, everybody. Peace out. Have a good one.